Hi, welcome to Conversation Corner. I'm Jack Hathaway, your town administrator. I'm joined today by, as usual, my selectman and good friend, Jim Lehan. Welcome, Jim.
Thanks, Jack. Always good to be here.
We're here for the March edition of Conversation Corner, and we're finally through the snow, hopefully.
And our fourth try at it.
Yeah, and our fourth try at this show. We had a little power outage in the center of town yesterday that was throwing us off, so we're back today to give it another try. It's like Groundhog Day.
And it is.
So we've got a lot of things to talk about, mostly town meeting, the budget, election. But before we get into that, I just wanted to talk about the DPW and all the snow we've had and thank the gentlemen. Trying to think if there are any ladies. There are no ladies in the DPW, so I want to thank the gentlemen for doing a great job. It was a tough winter, and I think given what they were up against, they did a great job.
They did. They did. Bob McGee and his staff were great, and I know you and I rode around with them a little bit during, I've forgotten which storm they all blended together, but I don't think folks realize how tiring and how much work that really is. And I know on Bob's truck only one wiper worked, so it made it even worse, but they did a great job, and we're very grateful. And I'm sure that another couple of days of thawing and I'll find that mailbox.
I hope so. It's, I've heard a lot of good mailbox jokes lately, so it's I don't
This
need
one-
any more.
This one's true.
Yeah. They did do a good job, and we have a lot of good contractors who work with the town that I know they're getting paid, but they still put in a lot of late nights and
They tried.
did some great work.
They tried.
So let's get right into our May schedule. We got May 5th, we have the ballot question, the election, and then May 12th we have town meeting. Just remind people it's at the junior high, 7 o'clock. The election on the 5th will be at the Freeman Kennedy School from 7 a.m. till 8 p.m. So encourage people to come out and vote. We have a lot of, it certainly looks like we're going to have some.
We got a few contested races for a
Got some
change.
contested races.
That we do, and it's good to see. We've had trouble getting folks getting involved, and I can certainly understand why.
Yep.
But it's nice to see some folks having interest.
Yeah, three that I can think of. So hopefully.
Yeah, selectmen, potentially school committee, potentially. I've forgotten
Potentially
the third.
moderator.
Moderator, thank you.
So that'll be fun.
I think there's actually a candidate for every spot now. Possibly not rec.
No, I think we're hoping the incumbent will re-enlist. I won't put him on the spot, but
Both of us are hoping.
yeah, he's done a great job.
He has. He's been great service to the community. Good man.
I guess we can thank him. We can thank Mr. Lawrence for doing a
We
great
can.
job.
That we can.
Encourage him to vote. So, talk about town meeting. Why don't we start first with the budget?
Okay.
We're starting to put the numbers together. We've been obviously compiling information from I've been compiling information from all the department heads. We're getting that. We have a preliminary number on our health insurance, which is not very exciting, but we're hoping to have some negotiations and knock that number down a little bit. I know I've had some conversations, but you've had the most recent conversations with both the schools.
Yeah, I've met with the schools. Norfolk's increase is about 4.27%. Not about, it is 4.27%. The major difference, most of that is contractual. The only two things they're really looking to restore, and I could not agree with them more, is to eliminate the fees for busing and eliminate the fees for all-day kindergarten. They only had 6 children in the half-day kindergarten program last year, so all of the kids really, for all intents and purposes, are continuing to go to the full-day program. So my own personal opinion, I would fully support this. Most of the towns around us have full-day and don't charge for it. I know that Ingrid is trying to remove as many of these fees as she possibly can. I know she'd like to get rid of the band fee if she could, and that may make the list if things work out well for them. But that would actually come from some of the savings they would have from this year that they would put towards that, which I think is also a really good thing. The more of those they can reduce, the better.
Yeah.
So that's a very reasonable budget, and I think that the advisory board will be pleased with that. I know that I will support it. I think she's done a great job. She's been a very good business partner.
She's been great.
Yeah, she's been terrific.
I hate to say it, she's my 7th Norfolk Public Schools superintendent. If you cut the interims
that would make
as
my
well.
7th too, wouldn't it? Yeah.
So it's
But she's really terrific, and of course she has children in the King Philip system, so we have a little bit more, I think, commonality between the two systems than we've had in a while. And in terms of the thought process of the budgets, she's more sensitive to KP for very obvious reasons. Dr. Zielinski has shared her numbers, the governor's numbers, our numbers relative to the other towns. We're in the middle. Plainville always tends to be on the low end. Rentham's going to have a challenge this year. They got
So when you're talking about the percentage,
talking about the percentage increase.
Excuse
me, I should have clarified that. The regional budget is divided between 3 towns. It's allocated in a formula that no one knows how to interpret or figure out. It used to be by student, and in the infinite wisdom of the state, they decided that that was too simple. They had to complicate it, and they put a wealth factor in there that is pretty tough to work through. Whoever invented that is locked up in a vault somewhere, and you can't get access to them, because I've never really found anybody that could give me the exact formula of how that's computed. But that said, it is what it is. The state generates it, and we're up about 466,000, I believe. It's pretty close to that. Rentham is considerably higher, and Plainville's about 422,000. All in all, it's about a 6.7% increase. Unlike the Norfolk school system, they have the school system, the King Philip school system has to vote a regional budget early in the process. So they always tend to vote a little higher or more aggressive number, but this is one of the more realistic numbers I think we've seen from them in a while. So it's a good start. They've put $150,000 of their own money into the budget already, and we'll work it down. I'm meeting with her tomorrow to go through the detail of it, but it's a good start. So the school's look in pretty good shape.
Yep.
For this point in time.
Yep. And on the municipal side, still tweaking those numbers a little bit. We don't have any adds to staff this year that I can think of. The one position that we may look at is a part-time IT position to help Michael at Town Hall, and particularly public safety, where there's a lot of IT critical systems. But other than that, we're looking at maintaining our staffing levels, so there won't be any big spikes in budgets that I can think of. Police department has some challenges going on with some retirements, so there will be, we'll talk about that at the advisory board meeting and selectmen's meetings, but also at town meeting, how we get some spikes from that when we have a retirement, but then some relief on the long-term budget as we hire new officers at the lower steps.
Yeah, so I think we've got 4 or 5 of our finest going out over the next 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, there are unfortunately there are quite a few. We've got a senior staff.
Senior citizen staff,
yeah.
huh?
Yeah, they're great, good guys and ladies. And I've talked about our recent hire before, but Michelle Palladini continues to do a great job. Officer Palladini on the police department, and she is now spending a lot of time working over at the King Philip Junior High School. Actually there during the school day, running some classroom programs, and after school she's running some programs sometimes through the rec department. She has run senior citizen programs at the senior center, and some self-defense programs with young ladies and women, particularly young ladies and women. And my daughter and wife have taken the class, and they greatly enjoyed it.
I can understand why.
Yeah.
I just want to add an endorsement, because both superintendents have mentioned her.
Yeah.
And how much help she's been to the schools, and yeah, she's doing a great job. I meant to mention one other thing on the schools, and again, it's a pleasant change. It's a new direction for us, but and I know you've mentioned it at some of the selectmen's meetings, but it was just reinforced this morning that they are looking for ways to consolidate responsibilities between the school and the town, building maintenance, things of this nature. This is terrific. It will, over time, be more efficient and save time. We've had a hard time having those conversations in the past, and they're easy now.
Yep.
And so another thing that's been really good. The more of these functions we can centralize, it'll save us operational dollars, increase efficiency, a lot of good things about it, and it's just a willingness to do it, and now we have a willingness to do it, so it's been great.
I agree. I mean, in several cases we found where 2 people can do the work of 3 when we make some of those combinations, so it's been great. And we can, by combining those positions, we can perhaps bring in a little bit broader skill sets, to kind of help. These buildings are getting more complicated. I mean, the new school is you don't just need a facilities guy, you need a technology guy or lady to run those. So It is. I absolutely agree with you. So I will.
And there, and the school, that's a $10 million budget.
Mhm.
So it's about 33% or a third of our operational budget. So when you have that willingness to consolidate functions and what have you, it's just overdue and very welcome.
Yeah, and I would just echo your comments that Dr. Lardy's been great to work with, so appreciate her. So further on in the warrant, we have a lot of the standard items that people have gotten used to. Obviously, the budget will be up early. We have some transfers. We will have some capital to talk about. Not a tremendous amount, but a couple of items to talk about. CPC has their articles. I know one that you are obviously always involved with is the affordable housing. CPC is recommending moving $400,000 from the CPC funds over to the Affordable Housing Trust to continue the great work that's going on there.
Yeah, the group has done really terrific work under Scott Dietrich's leadership. We just had 5 homes, I believe, that went through the lottery. The final home on Gumps is almost done, finishing that project. But it's been very successful. We're up in the double digits now in single-family homes. We have a very exciting project just to share with people. We bought that piece of property in front of the H. Olive Day School on Main Street. And it was an old home that could not, unfortunately, be restored. It's too bad because it was a really beautiful old historical home, but it was just in disastrous condition. And the historical committee or commission or whatever the right word is did look into it and agreed that it was not salvageable. We did salvage some of the wood and the flooring, and hopefully we can find a use for that at some point. But we have about to sign a contract with Tri-County, which is really exciting. And Tri-County has in the past, through some of their work and their shop work, have actually built homes. And so they're going to build a home in partnership with the town in that location, a very attractive home, be a ranch. It'll be starting in the spring, and we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I saw that.
And we're hopeful on another piece of land that we can do another project with Habitat for Humanity.
Great.
So in addition to the normal process that we're in finding and securing these homes, these kinds of projects just bring the community together. And the Tri-County ones, I'm really excited. And Bill Crump, who's a member of our committee, is the one who has really, this is his brainchild, and he's worked out the details with Tri-County and done a great job.
Absolutely.
Great job.
I think I've kind of lost count. I should have counted them up before I make this comment, but we must be up to about 10 or 11 homes.
Oh no, we're over that. Yeah, we're in the teens.
Yeah,
we're in the teens. And a lot of those homes have gone to what we call Norfolk preference. They're employees of the town or family members of employees of the town or residents of the town, and it puts a smile on your face when you see some of these folks get in there. We have a DPW worker that just went into one of the homes. It's exciting.
Yep, young couple expecting their first child. They're actually probably
done by now, I would say.
I probably missed it, yeah.
Probably not the right way to say it, but probably there.
I hope so.
So yeah, thank you. I think the committee's done a great job.
Yeah, so, and I know yesterday during our trial runs, you talked about how CPC has been a good partner for the affordable housing.
CPC's been a terrific partner. For those at home that I think most people know, but if they don't, the Community Preservation Act requires that certain percentages go to very specific projects, affordable housing being one of them. Open space, passive and active recreation, historical are all mandatory components of CPC. So 10% of our funds have to be set aside and allocated to each of those projects. And CPC has, for some time now, sort of handed off the affordable home component that they're responsible for to the Municipal Housing Trust, and has funded us every year now for, 4 or 5 years, if not longer. So we're very grateful for their support, and it goes to good use. So they also have been good partners.
And knock on wood, I haven't heard a single complaint from any of the issues that come along with that you hear about, all the concerns beforehand about affordable housing. I haven't heard. There hasn't been a.
Neither have I, and nor has the committee. I mean, there are homes that are there. They're your neighbors now, and it's really a good thing. It is not. I know some people are nervous or have been nervous about it, but if you go over here to the I'm pointing as if that helps anybody, but if you go over to the Gump property and you look at the homes that have been constructed there, they fit right in with the neighborhood. They're very well done, lovely families. There have been no issues whatsoever. And speaking of Gumps, one more thing, if I may.
Absolutely.
We had really 4 purposes for that project. One was affordable housing. The other was the new kids' place, Rockwood Road Park, I guess is what we call it now. Third was conservation land, which is there and untouched and about 17, 18 acres, somewhere in that range of beautiful land. The fourth was a community garden. And we just haven't gotten to that yet, and we're going to get to that. So the Board of Selectmen have taken that one on, as the property is still kind of under our is under our name. So we're going to get that garden up and running. We're not sure, haven't really thought through how we're going to run it. Jack and I have both seen a number of different models on how it's done. We'll figure that out later. Right now, we just want to make sure that it gets done and ready for the spring, which, if the winter continues the way it has, will probably be about mid-July. But let's assume we have a normal time frame. We'll have that up and running this year, so that'll be exciting too.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will be fun. We talked about having people from Village River's Edge. People who don't have gardens. We have a lot more condos.
Or the ability to have a garden.
We have people with condos now who might want to have a garden. Other people who just want to have gardening, do some gardening in groups. And learn about gardening. Like myself, I know very little.
Me too. Yeah. And we've had groups approach us about doing things for the food bank and charitable organizations as well. So it's probably all good things, and we'll figure it's a good problem to work on.
It certainly is.
Yeah.
So thank you. So back to town meeting. On the warrant, we have some zoning articles. We have, I've probably called it the wrong thing a number of times, but we have an article that talks about increasing the density in the center of town. It's not the B1 district. That's where I've been kind of mislabeling it. It's a 2,000-foot radius around the train station, if you will, and trying to build some density in that area, staying away from what we have, what are the commercial districts, because we don't want to take away from commercial and put residential, but trying to increase some density there. It's been probably a 10 or 20 year struggle that we've had to try and increase some density down there, and I think Ray Goff, our planner, has put together this article with some help from other towns. It's now going to go through our zoning working group to kind of fine tune it, but we hope to have that for town meeting and improve some density downtown in a way that is acceptable to the town, so that we can get some more, as we always say, get some more bodies downtown, which will then inspire some of the growth, of the commercial growth that we've been so desperately wanting for so long. So hopefully that'll be a great discussion. It'll go through, as I said, the zoning working group first. They'll go and talk to the advisory board about it on their calendar, and then obviously we'll get to town meeting. So encourage people to.
And I want to compliment Ray, who's been terrific, by the way. He's we're all volunteers, so having a professional that is very familiar with zoning and can help us draw these up with good information, sort of the best of the breed, what other towns have done, as opposed to just having them evolve, which has been more of our history than it should be. Ray's done a great job, and this article is an example of that.
Yeah, he and I had an interesting article today about special permits and his plan to make some improvements there. Really just kind of putting some build into our zoning some qualifiers for special permits and the reasons to approve or deny them, so that we so it's more of a scientific process
as opposed to arbitrary, which is exactly what it is now. And he's really helping us streamline the process. We're cumbersome in how we approach these things, and to no fault. It's just the way we've always done it. And there are sometimes when you get folks from the outside, they see things a little differently. In fact, they do see things a little differently. And he's made some great recommendations that hopefully we can implement over time. A lot of those around planning, so the planning board has to buy into it and see the wisdom of some of these changes. But we still have a tendency to make things cumbersome on folks developing within our town. And by cumbersome, I don't mean that we're more strict or less strict. It's that we put so many steps in the process that we need to figure out a more streamlined way of doing it. And Ray's been working hard on that and has already made some suggestions and is working on more. But that will be very helpful to us. Again, it doesn't circumvent any of our rules or regulations. It doesn't shortcut the end goal. It just streamlines the process for people so that they have a better understanding of how to work through our boards, which can be very confusing to people, the way it's structured today.
Our zoning, I know that's one of the tasks that Ray has in his list of things to do, but streamlining our zoning or just making the zoning bylaws a little more readable is
and not contradictory.
one of the things that he'll be working on.
Constantly remember that time that you and I and an unnamed person sat in a room because we were having this discussion around a particular article that was in question, and we had, I think, 3 different interpretations of the same bylaw. That shouldn't happen.
Unfortunately, mine was the most right, but I remember that discussion.
You remembered the discussion, but you don't remember the conclusion, obviously.
I guess back to the warrant, we got a couple more articles. We have about, I should have said we have about 25 articles, so it should be. I'm thinking it's a one-night
should be
town meeting. It'll be probably 3-4 hours, but it should be covered in one night if unless we get hung up on something, which we occasionally do. But
hopefully, it's not street lighting.
No, and it's not hunting. We've got the KP turf, so we're going to have a discussion about King Philip, and actually their King Philip School Committee on March 16th is having they're having a discussion at their meeting about the turf. So I think that would be, if people are interested, they should either watch that on TV or attend the meeting.
Right. And that'll provide direction for us as to where that article goes at town meeting.
Procurement, the Board of Selectmen have filed a article to put a step into our procurement process so that any contracts over a year will have a requirement on it that it be approved by the Board of Selectmen before being executed. So that's, I think, a relatively a very common sense approach to.
Yeah, it's not to intrude on the independence of the boards. Boards today have the right to contract with outside consultants at their discretion. The financials that surround that are at their discretion, and we've had some issues with that have quite honestly developed into some difficult situations, and in some cases even lawsuits. So we want to put a step in there that doesn't prevent the board from making their recommendations, or are we interfering with the evaluation of the credentials of the consultants. But we do have, as you said, we do have a procurement concern. You are the procurement officer for the town, and therefore it all should flow through you. You have to sign the contracts. And we're the ones responsible for the financials of the town. And so it's really more to review those 2 considerations to be sure it was processed correctly, done correctly, and that the financials make sense. And as I said, we've had some unintentional situations where we've had problems with that. So it's just an extra step. It's not uncommon. A lot of towns do it, and I think it would be in the best interest of the town to have that extra step involved in.
And I agree. And then one of the articles that I put in after having some discussions with the advisory board was just it kind of sounds funny at first, but an elimination of the capital committee. And the reason we're doing that is just really because we've had, for 2 reasons. One, we've had a very difficult time getting members on the capital committee. But I think that's really because we've had such a
be kind.
Unstable capital process, right. Because really the prison mitigation money and some of the other funds that we've had designated for capital have come and gone, and sometimes disappeared just after making all the recommendations. So
yeah, it's been frustrating for them. They were when it was alive and well, and we thought we had some activity associated with that. They'd make recommendations, and then literally, on the infinite wisdom of the state, these monies would be gone, literally gone. And
so the process that's kind of evolved that we will now kind of make as the formal process is that I will present a capital plan. After working with my department heads and the school superintendents, I'll present a capital plan to the advisory board and to the selectmen, and that'll be the process we go through before we get to town meeting.
Yeah, and actually I think it's a better process. We're closer to it. I think it's hard for people to come in, without having been involved in the evolution of the list. They're just involved in sort of being the Solomon of the list. And I think it's a better process for judging where the priorities are.
Well, and yeah, I agree. And then a lot of our capital decisions are really tied into our operational budgets and how they might be changed. So having 2 different groups directing those budgets created a few little issues for us. So this sounds like a good streamlining, and I know one I'm happy with.
We have 2 petition articles on the warrant this year too.
We do.
I'll touch on one, you touch on the other.
Go right ahead.
We have an interesting zoning one that we just looked at the other night that is a petition to create what I call, and maybe others don't, but pork chop lots, which basically allows for a common driveway for more than one home. And you see it frequently in Connecticut. I know they have a lot of situations like that, but we have not allowed that here in Norfolk. And it'll be interesting to see how that all, it has to go through the process. The planning board will vent it and make their recommendations. But it's pretty interesting article. You know, it changes the frontage requirements. It doesn't change the size of the lot. So you're still, if it's zoned for an acre, it still has to be an acre lot, but it does change the frontage consideration. You only need 50 foot of frontage as opposed to, like in my particular area, it's 200 foot frontage. So it will be an interesting debate.
It will be. I actually look
We
forward.
have another one.
We have another one that's been submitted by petition for a non-binding referendum, I guess you would call it, to see if the town is interested in making a statement that we are opposed to Common Core, the curriculum that's been brought forward from, I guess, the federal government that the state has adopted, and it really changes the curriculum core of the school system. So we've, at the Selectmen's meeting, we've heard the petitioners speak. The Selectmen have not voted whether or not we're going to put that ballot question on as part of the election. It will be part of the town meeting warrant. But the Selectmen have decided, which was a good idea, I think, to have the school committee, school superintendents come to our next Selectmen's meeting on the 25th of March to talk about their perspective on the Common Core. We've heard from, I guess, the parental side that's opposed to it. Now we want to hear from the administrative side and their perspective on it. So that'll be a good discussion.
I mean, the group that came in was I think 5 in number. Yep. And they're very impassioned over it. They have very strong views. They made a lot of good points. We're not going to discuss it at length here, but we just felt that we should hear the other side. Right. This meeting is not intended to be a debate. You know, it's not he said, she said kind of engagement. But I think we do need to hear from the educators. I mean, I talked with the Norfolk schools about it this morning and heard their perspective of it, and it somewhat contradicts what we heard the other night. Yeah. So it'll be good debate. The only reason we're involved in this is that we've never had a referendum vote on a ballot that I can remember, but they had not secured the necessary signatures. To get on the ballot for a referendum vote, you need 10%, I believe, of the voters, which would be roughly 600 signatures, somewhere in that range. They were unable to secure, though, or didn't have time. I don't know the reason, so I shouldn't judge it, but they don't have it.
They don't have it. They still have some time to do it if
they still have time. Yeah, they still have time, but the Selectmen do have the ability to put the question on the ballot if they so choose. We have not made that decision. They've petitioned us to do that. Not petitioned, but they've asked us to do that. And we'll have to see how it plays out. A question of that nature should reflect a lot of voters' views. Right. So we have yet to know whether or not that this is a wide-held view or whether this is just a small-held view. And but the petition option is always there. So that they always have that ability to get it on the ballot by getting the 600 plus signatures. But tune in on the 25th. I think it starts at 8. I think that section we're with the advisory board at 7.
Yep.
And we're with the normal business hour session will begin about 8 o'clock. Budget at 7 with the advisory board, and then we're going to get into this issue or hear from the administrators. Both KP and Norfolk will be there talking about their views on this and see how it goes. Should be an interesting evening.
Certainly will be. So I think that's it for town meeting, unless you have anything else.
No.
I checked off everything on my list. Some other things we have going on in town. We still are going forward with the Regional Dispatch Center. That continues to progress slowly. We have hired a project manager and architect. We're now going through kind of looking. The architect has come back with a number of different concepts for the communication center, which will go into the Norfolk building that we bought last spring. They'll use 1/4 of the building, and so that process is going forward. On the Norfolk side of the project, just to remind people, we are looking forward to building a new police station down at Shire Park. We bought that building, and so we're going to...
Which will be part of the rec center,
Right.
With some common shared space as well.
We're looking to do that, as well as doing some, probably a garage addition onto our existing public safety building, and doing some rehab of the existing public safety building to turn into a fire station. So that those projects are going forward. We have so far hired a project manager, and we have RFQs out, requests for qualifications for architects. So those come in on March 26th, and then the Public Safety Building Committee will go through the process of selecting an architect, and we will get going full steam ahead on that side of the project.
Yeah, this has been really kind of an exciting project, because you and I both are on that group, and we've been trying for years to figure out a solution to, while people drive by it and it looks like it's in good shape, it really isn't. That building is a disaster, and we've been trying to find solutions. We brought it to the ballot 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
All the years blend together.
Flies by now. Lost by about 8 or 9 votes. I mean, it was a close vote. It was the same time we voted for the new school, and we've held off for a number of different reasons. And then when the rec came into being, and we were able to purchase this building, and able to combine some common facilities, and we made the decision with the help of both chiefs that we could separate the services, fire and police. This provided us a whole new way to look at it. And I believe that the original proposal that we had to solve this problem was in the neighborhood of $12 to $14 million. We're way below that now in our initial estimates, and being able to solve both problems, police and fire. So we got lucky. You know, I mean, maybe there was some wisdom in the voters not supporting this, because that alternative was where we are today wasn't even on the horizon for us at that point in time, and you are really critical in helping bring together the rec, the regionalization of dispatch. You've been involved in that from day one, and you're on the board to put it all together, and thank you, because it's a huge step. We've been trying to do these kinds of things forever, and this is a big deal.
This will be the first significant regionalization project.
Yes, absolutely,
in the area,
and it's going to happen.
Yep.
You know, the money's there, the building's there, we're getting ready to go, but it provided us this other option that we have never had.
Yep.
And it's going to save. I mean, I don't want to throw a number out because we haven't gotten those numbers yet, but I can say it will be substantially below the $12 to $14 million estimate that we had going into this, and that number would have been higher in today's market, because that's about a 5-year-old number. Yeah. So sometimes good things happen by mistake, or you know, we got lucky.
Yeah, I think this will be this. You know, knock on wood, we'll be able to get through this process in the next year.
Yeah, we're clearly going to need the voters' support, and we'll do our very best. We're going to get hard numbers. This isn't going to be a pie-in-the-sky number. We're going to work them all through. We're going to get firm commitments on what it is, what it'll do, and how much it'll cost. And I think our plan is to send out a mailing to every single voter. That's our hope anyway, to send out a mailing to every single voter so that people can make a well-informed decision as to whether or not they want to support this. And hopefully they will.
So the tentative plan, and I say tentative because it does change as we go through the process here, but tentative plan is to come to the Springtown meeting. There may be, and I can't even say with certainty yet, but there may be an article to ask for a little bit of borrowing just to do a little more infrastructure work so that the Regional Communications Center, you know, to get the utilities into the the new building, the driveway done, and the outside of the building done, so that we can get the regional dispatch up and start earning some rent for Norfolk, which would be nice.
And we would absorb that within our operating budget, so folks don't think we're asking for something outside of the operating budget.
You're right. That's within the operating budget. So we may do that, and then definitely in the fall, we will be coming. I think we're looking at the September, potentially October timeframe of coming together with an early fall town meeting to talk about the project
with hard numbers.
With hard numbers from the architect at that point.
Yeah,
so that would be.
If the meeting so supports, this would be a debt exclusion.
Yep.
And so we'll go to the voters within, I think, 30 days after the town meeting vote.
Yep.
And if that all goes well, we will be moving very quickly, very, very quickly. So that would solve a huge problem. It's been hanging over our heads for some time. And as I say, I hope we can get the support.
Yeah. So I know I threw out some compliments earlier to Officer Palladini. I just want to mention a couple other people. Hillary Cohen, our animal control officer, has had a challenging spring, and I think she's done a great job. But recently with the animals that she has been working with down at the dogs that were found down at the recreation field.
She's had a couple of unfortunate situations.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that takes a tremendous amount of effort and care, and I know we lost one of the dogs. We had to put one of them down, so that's tough. We have a reward out actually to try and find if anybody has any information. Contact the police station if you have any information about how those dogs may have gotten there. And Detective Fletcher is back, and he's had some interesting cases lately, so I just wanted to mention him. He was injured on duty a while ago and has worked his way back and has jumped right into a number of cases that he's been doing a great job. So I appreciate Detective Fletcher's effort as well. A couple of things that the Selectmen have approved that for community events that are going around. NCL has their community run on June 6th at 9 a.m. In the center of town. So contact NCL if you're interested in participating in that. Library has a art exhibit, Painting Buds, on May 9th from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. And the especially exciting part is we've issued them a one-day
serving wine.
a one-day serving permit, so
Yeah.
they'll be serving wine. And then finally, the baseball parade is.
We're hoping.
If the snow's gone, we're going to have that parade on April 18th, starting from H. Olive Day at noon, and they'll parade up to the Freeman Kennedy School and have the opening day game. Again, that may be wishful thinking, but that's the.
I put a smile on everybody's face to see it for sure.
It's been nice having a couple warm days. We're a little chilly today, but the last 2 days have been hovering around 50, and it's amazing how much snow has melted, but we still got a long way to go. So hopefully we'll get there for April 18th.
Yeah. Maybe one more thing of interest to folks, we do have a lot of potential building going on in town. And we're trying, our Board of Selectmen don't always have a lot of involvement in this, but in certain situations we do. And so we've been very active in discussions with various projects. There are really 4 major projects that are proposed. We put this working committee together to, you and I both participate, actually all the selectmen have participated in it, SFU, to try and work through some of the concerns, because some of them are pretty substantial. But we do have 2 40B projects that are in the proposal stages. One down at 106, 108 Main Street. I know you've seen the preliminary plans, I haven't, but from all we hear, it's a pretty well thought out plan. I know they've worked through with the Conservation Board. It's gone well so far. And we have another one on what's formerly known for those that are old timers as the old Boy Scout land, which is off of Cleveland Street. And that's a proposed 40B as well. We're not as far down the line with that project as we are with the 106, 108 Main. Southwood, I know we've talked about that before. We have a meeting coming up with the developer, I guess is the right word. And we have issues around that. That right now seems to be residing in a restricted age kind of consideration, so it has less concern as it relates to the schools, but still has concern as well as it relates to our infrastructure, not the least of which is water sources. And you might comment on that in a second. And then there's another one off of Lawrence Street, which is a substantial project that we are in the process of discussing. So there's a lot on the table, and we need to really think through how we do this so that we minimize its impact on infrastructure. You have to weigh the revenue versus the cost, and in some cases, you really can't prevent this. You just have to manage it, because if our bylaws allow it, you can't stop someone from developing what they have a legal right to develop, whether we like it or not.
Right.
But we can try to influence it and manage it in a way that it fits within the community and doesn't strain those kinds of considerations. And then that other item?
Sure, we're just talking about water.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about it a lot at Selectmen's meetings, and certainly I've been working with Director McGee and Superintendent Phil McNulty on, and actually we met today with, we had an interesting meeting today something I haven't even updated you on. But we had a regional meeting today to talk about water. We met with Franklin and Millis, and we kind of brought back some of those plans of trying to resolve this water issue on a regional basis. Millis has an abundance of water. Franklin is probably doing okay, but they have some of their own concerns.
Yeah, they're looking for a new well source too, I believe.
They are. They have 8 wells, I believe, but 2 of them have some manganese, real high manganese levels. So they're looking to, they're concerned about those. So we're looking at, and kind of what I've learned through this process is never put all your eggs in one basket. So now we're exploring this kind of Millis connection, I guess, is the real primary thing that's of interest to us.
That's good news. I know approached them in the past, and it hasn't gone well. So
well, I think we've gotten over the sticker shock, them presenting us a sticker shock challenge. So yeah. I think we've gotten into starting to have some reasonable negotiations. So it's I think we can make some progress there. But on the other, as I said, not all the eggs in one basket. We have now hired one of our engineers that we've worked with for a long time to do an evaluation of all the both town-owned property and privately held property in town to look at areas where we might be able to have a new well source. And he is presented us with a draft of that plan. He met with Phil, and Phil sent him back with some things that he wanted to work on and finalize. But they're going to present that to the Selectmen in April.
Good.
To talk about their findings there. So, we have some other leads that we've talked about in the past. Still trying to work with the state school to see if because they have a well in Norfolk that we'd love to take over and manage for them and steal some of that water, but they're hesitant to let us.
I know. That's always been one that's been sort of on the top of my list. I don't. Maybe it's just too logical. Maybe that's why it doesn't want to work. But that seems like such a good solution that's a win-win to me for both parties, and why we've had a reluctance on their part to really engage in any meaningful conversations. I guess there's a reason I just haven't been able to figure out. But
when we and you and I have talked about this before, whenever we have any of these regional solutions, they always sound so good until you get to the point where you have to actually give a little and take a little, and these small towns get very possessive.
Turfy,
yeah, and it's that way with the state as well. The agencies try to be very turfy, and
and it just doesn't make sense. I mean, they have a very good well, far greater capacity than they could ever use. It's within like 100 feet, I think, of a connector for us. It's on Norfolk property.
Yeah,
we've got a line very close to it.
Right.
We propose that literally let us take over the well. We'll give you water forever for free. We'll have all of
free.
Well, pretty much. I mean, if we could take over the well, yeah. I mean, you give and take. You make your deal, and it would solve a huge problem for us, and take all of the concerns and issues of maintaining it and keeping it up to standard off of their back and put it on ours.
Yeah.
A win-win. But to date, we haven't gotten very far.
No. So I think that's it
I think
for today.
We've probably gone over the time they like us to stay within, but there is a lot going on, and I hope people will come to town meeting. We don't have enough folks there. We've got 6,000 plus voters, and we get a couple of hundred people at town meeting, and we just recommend you guys decide what to do. And so it's a process I hope we don't ever lose. Having an open town meeting like that. A lot of towns have gone to representative town meetings, and I'm just old time, I guess. I really love the participatory open town meeting process where everybody gets a chance to have their say, and so I hope we can hold on to it.
Yeah, that's interesting. Speaking of old time, I don't know why this popped into my head, but I mentioned it to you a little bit yesterday. I asked you a question, and you gave me an answer, but I think you were wondering why I asked you. But
want to ask it again?
Well, no, I know the answer, so I don't have to ask it. But
this was in our retake yesterday.
In our retake, and so I just there's no real good time to mention this, but I'll mention it now because it's a good time for me. Is you're on your 4th term as selectman, so just congratulations on that. And
Or sympathy,
you
take
know,
it,
it's,
depending on how you
well,
look
I
at
don't
it.
know. I don't know how you do it, but we owe you a debt of gratitude. You don't get any compensation for this. I at least get a paycheck. So,
Well, as I've said many times, I've gotten as much back as I hope I've given. So
yeah, I know you have a good time doing it. So
it's been a pleasure to serve the town.
but thank you. So that's what we wanted to cover today. So I thank you for watching. If you made it to the end here, congratulations to you. And I want to thank Chris Lehan from NCTV for making this happen out in the magic room there. So thank you, Chris.
For all 4 times.
Yeah, all 4 times. And Director Katie Woodhams is, I think she's probably roaming around here too. Katie is our new NCTV director, probably a couple of months now. But thank you, Katie, for being here and doing a great job. So I think that's it for today, Jim.
Pleasure, Jack. Thanks.
And we'll look forward to seeing everybody next month and then at town meeting. Take care and have a great day.